These are the best position 5 support heroes to play so far in patch 7.38. Hi, I'm Torte, and with the release of patch 7.38, position 5 supports are heavily leaning towards magic based aggressors during the laning stage with a lot of presence during teamfights. With position 1 carries being built around surviving the lane and easily jungling after, the supports are playing the standard mindset of either bullying enemy offlaners away from your carry to secure farm, or setting up those carry plays with potential kills through your slows and harassment. Both are with the same intent, securing the lane for stable farm. By the way, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. I'm also on Twitch to answer your questions live. With the rework of Arcane Curse and Last Word in 7.38, Silencer is now closer to his original style in 7.36, which gives him both a lot of early game harassment and magic damage. From the laning stage to the ganking mid game, Silencer is suited for ganks because of the range of his skills to play from afar while capitalizing on those kills to build up his intelligence when reaching the late game. His popularity this patch comes from his ability to shut down a lot of non-BKB buyers like Lifestealer, Dawnbreaker, and Morphling. Dragonite is probably one of the few meta heroes I would not consider Silencer for because Dragonite frankly doesn't care about his abilities once he's in Elder Dragon form, which is pretty much all the time. Now come late game, Silencer can shift into two styles. One, a magic damage build revolving around his Ag Scepter and the back-to-back global silence, effectively shutting down opponents for 12 seconds in total, and with Silencer's stupidly annoying reverberating silence facet, even if your enemies do buy Black King Bar, they are still silenced for a good chunk of the time while taking massive damage from your Arcane Curse stemming from the Ag Scepter. 2, you could be what most of my pubs do and just build him as a right clicker with Hurricane Pike and Ag Shard and then get confused on why you keep dying. I still recommend Refresher Orb in this right click build. Typically we see Silencer players pick up items like Solar Crest and Glimmer Cape for his team because Silencer needs very few items to be impactful in fights. What's more is Silencer's late game has also been improved where his level 20 talent now has a 250 AoE effect on Last Word, making it incredibly strong as a follow up to your team's initiation. Man, just pick this hero, that's all I gotta say. Winter Wyvern's new facet, Recursive, is just stupid. During Wyvern's ultimate, Winter's Curse, all enemies take 125% physical, magic, and pure damage from Wyvern. When the cursed target dies, Winter's Curse is recast on the lowest health enemy for 50% of the duration. Now combined with your Splinter Blast and just a Blink Dagger, Wyvern can nail some gnarly ultimate ability hits that really punish clumped up lineups. So with the Magnus or an Enigma, both position 3 heroes, Wyvern as a support can be pretty insane follow-up that just makes it hell for enemy teams to deal with. I mean, you can even use her Winter's Curse as a counter to Magnus where enemies will see a perfect reverse polarity only to be countered by Winter's Curse when they try to feast on your teammates. Because Winter's Curse goes through BKB or Rage, for example, Wyvern is a great counter to shut down both PA, Lifestealer, etc. Heroes that can kill their allies pretty quickly or even be held down long enough to have their BKB duration wasted. Don't forget that Arctic Burn still does health percentage based damage, so she can help against high HP heroes like Tiny. Not to mention that Cold Embrace also helps deal with those physical damage dealers, as well as her Ag Shard pivoting Cold Embrace from just a defensive spell to one that can regularly deal damage. Someone on the dev team really likes Jakiro because in 7.38 they not only gave both of his liquid abilities back to Jakiro, but they also gave his one non-nuke ability Ice Path massive damage and an additional stun. I don't know how someone saw this slow moving damage dealing 2-headed dragon and thought, hey, this guy needs more damage, but here we are. So now with his typical build of Yules and max Ice Paths, Jakiro is going to not only hold enemies down for 5 seconds, but he'll also deal 275 damage, 50 for the initial hit from Ice Path, and 225 for the detonation. Pair that with his dual breath, one of the most aggravating laning spells in the game, and you are looking at a hero who deals 675 damage across both spells. Jakiro is a hero that works with most position 1 heroes honestly, especially the meta ones like Slark, Tiny, and Lifestealer, as they have good follow up in their own slows and stuns or leashes on top of Jakiro's dual breath. Jakiro is also great against low health overly committed heroes like Queen in Pain, PA, and Dawnbreaker, as these heroes tend to go into fights but don't have many ways of getting out until their abilities come off cooldown. Just be mindful to play Jakiro from especially far away to avoid being targeted and focus on landing your Ice Path first before following up with your ultimate Micropyre to burn those low health enemies off. Not much has changed for Warlock, and yet now he's everywhere, and to be honest, he's still one of the easiest and simplest heroes to play in all of Dota 2. People have come to the realization of the power of his Shadow Word, which still heals your target like usual or damages them if it's an enemy, but what's more is they also heal or damage allies or enemies that are near your Shadow Word target. So for a lot of heroes like Lifestealer, throwing the Shadow Word on them is like casting Iron Shell, where because they're melee heroes, they're near enough from the targets to be dealing damage from Shadow Word on top of everything else that the hero is doing. Same thing with Slark and with Warlock's Upheaval. Enemies are slowed from a massive AoE where Slark can go to town on their asses and grab a ton of agi while also leashing anyone who does manage to escape from the Upheaval AoE. Lastly, Warlock doesn't need much items, but he enables massive damage through Fatal Bonds, which synergizes with so many damage dealing heroes like Phantom Assassin, Ember Spirit, Lifestealer with Radiance, Tiny, and more. Warlock is just a massive enabler for mid-game teamfights with little to risk, given his items are things like Glimmer Cape, Solar Crest, Ag Shard, and more. Finally, things are looking up for Crystal Maiden. Her new facet of 7.38, Glacial Guard, increases the radiance of Crystal Nova by another 100, and it gives allies a physical barrier of about half of what Solar Crest gives. So of course, now Solar Crest is a popular item on the hero because she's honestly pretty slow moving. Glimmer Cape is of course a good alternative and a natural item for her for the movement and the invisibility to cast her ultimate, Freezing Field. With her innate ability now scaling with Freezing Field in 7.38, she only needs 1 point in Arcane Aura and can actually max out her 2 offensive abilities, giving her way more offensive capabilities post laning stage, while still keeping things annoying during the laning stage with her low cooldown Frostbite spell. Overall, Crystal Maiden is just a comfort pick that fits fine in most lineups, and especially well with core heroes that are desperate for mana like Slark, Phantom Lancer, Ember Spirit, Queen of Pain, Magnus, etc. Alright, so these are the heroes that are really popping off right now, but as you know, things will change and I'll try to get you an updated video ASAP. I didn't get to mention this, but heroes like Shadow Shaman, Mirana, and situationally Marci are also good heroes as much as Pause 5 as they are. I would recommend them as Pause 4, and it's because they trade incredibly well in the lane, enable their core heroes in the lane to be as offensive and or play as safe as they want, and their team fighting abilities again enable follow through from your cores in terms of damage output.